Hello, everyone. I wanted to make a recording to recap your assignments and to actually explain to you the connection between these assignments. So there's a lot of experience that you need to get in order to understand the true nature of how to be disruptive when you provide a recommendation to a client. So for me, it's important to build some assignments which are iterative and they are giving you the spectrum of what marketing is about. So it's not just marketing for the music industry, it's marketing for any industry and marketing for the music industry. So some assignments are purely music industry type of marketing assignments, and some assignments are purely marketing. So that way you have a full spectrum and you're not being narrow just on the music industry. You could be working in another industry, bringing the music industry, or working in the music industry and just bringing some elements of marketing that you would be gathering from outside. I mean, Apple created the iTunes because he was thinking outside of the box of the computer. He was thinking about the services and the problem that they were trying to solve. So the one of the assignments that you will be working on, sometimes it's not in the same sequence, so you don't always start the same or from presenting a past music client project, but just to give you the most basic way to look at it. So, for example, group one last week worked by presenting a Matters. Matters is a previous client, and the assignment is to start kind of working as if you have done this project, but you will have done this project when you finish in March. So you don't have too much experience. So I want you to be right inside the project by presenting someone else and understanding where they came from. It's very difficult to understand where they came from because they worked 2 months to get to that point, and you essentially just started to work on it. And obviously, group one was even harder because they had just 1 week to be immersed into it and understand what is going on. So that's why it was difficult, but based on the discussion, at least they understood what this was about and the purpose. And probably if they had to do better, they would do better. But that's one of the situation. Anyway, so music industry, marketing, immersion, playing the role of a past MIA group with a MIA clients. That's one of the assignments. The other assignment, which is the creation of this own business. This time, it's not a music assignment, it's a pure marketing assignment for a typical consumer goods, which is own. And from an industry that it's been the same for thousands of years. And so you have to reinvent, and I don't want you to reinvent the own and to put yourself in the shoes of these people. That would be very difficult. So I give you, again, a project that was already done, and it was well done. And the main story behind this is that it's very difficult to be disruptive and to revolutionize any industries, but probably even more so the industries that have been the same and existed for thousands of years. However, it's always possible because there's something that you can bring. So look in the environment and you search for opportunities. Here, you want to present by showing that it's a difficult assignment because there's not much you can do. And by looking just at the on industry, you won't find anything. So why am I doing that? Is because I want you to understand that if you want to work in the music industry, and all you try to do is to innovate and bring some value to the music industry by looking at what people are doing in the music industry, you're very narrow in there. So you have to look at other industries and bring some ideas, which is what this project is about. So you can do this for the music industry, you can do this for the on industry, and you can do it for non you can do it for real estate, and then you could do it for the phone business and anything. It's the same process. So I want you to expand and think outside of the box, not just the music industry, just industry. And then it's like an accordion. As you go, all the industry, my industry, all the industry, my industry. So you could be working on any industries and be successful in any industries. Anyway, you could be interested in the music industry and therefore go in there. Many of the Maya students eventually work in other industries and still the music industry. And so they're very happy that they got to be understand the marketing from all the prospective industries. So therefore you're not like a one-wheel drive, you become a four-wheel drive. So that's what I think is very important. So with the ONA, you're going to have to forget about the music industry and just put yourself in the skin of these people. And so they give you the disruption. The disruption is if you look at the food and beverage industry, there's been a lot of disruption that comes from the flavors, flavoring whiskey, flavoring smoking, flavoring. And now you wonder, hey, is there any flavoring in the honey industry? And in the honey industry, there's no real flavoring. Or in fact, there's a few companies that are starting to use flavoring, and it's looking really good. And so what could we do that would be disruptive? And so there comes the storyline that you bring, but you can't bring it too quick. You can't say, we're going to be working on the honey industry. The solution for the honey industry is to flavor. Is you have to, is there's a talent in unfolding this by driving the clients to understand where you come from and why this is very important. And so that's what I'm trying to do, because if you can do it for honey, you can do it for anything. And then you can do it for Kate and Corbett or anyone that you want. So that's the exercise. So it's like you dipped in this sauce and dipped in that sauce and dipped in this sauce and dipped. So I'm dipping you in lots of different things because eventually all will make sense. So another thing that seems to have nothing to do with anything, and some people may not, I would say 70% of the students already have an hint and they go, oh, I know what this professor is trying to do, but there's almost 30 and that don't know, and one or two students that go, I makes no sense. And so eventually it makes sense for everybody, but at the end it makes sense for everybody. So there's a subject that you will be presenting. This subject have nothing to do with marketing, this subject have nothing to do with the music industry, but these subjects are just subjects from everyday life. And I want you, and authors are extremely important, and I want you to come and present them in a way that is very personal, that you provide your opinion. So it's very important that you talk about what you found interesting about these authors, those subjects, because you need to show the capacity that you're someone that is critical, analytic, and you really have your own personality and view of the world, not just a copy of a Xerox of the view of the world. So here's a subject. What is your view? What do you agree with what the world agrees? What do you disagree? What do you think is better than what these people are saying? No. So you have an opinion. The more you have an opinion, the better. And if this opinion is, you can reference it and source it, therefore you have an opinion, but it's not just someone who has crazy ideas. It's someone that has concrete, objective reason to think rationally a certain way. Why do I want you to do that with a subject that has nothing to do with marketing, nothing to do with, but just to do with everything around us? Is because that's also part of being a business person, is you need to think outside of the box. So every time you hear they think outside of the box, what does that really mean? That's what you have to do when you present the subject. Present the subject the way it's standardly normally presented, and then think outside of the box on the subject. And the more you can do this, the more you could do this in marketing for selling honey, in marketing for selling music, anything. If you can think outside of the box, you become what they call a disruptor. You become what they call a maverick because you think outside of the box. So I'm giving you an exercise to think outside of the box, an exercise to prepare to present a music client project, and another one to present a marketing project that has nothing to do with music industry. And at the end, all of this combined, this puzzle, this piece of puzzle will create the full flavor that will prepare you to present. I believe it's on in the middle of February, while you will be presenting your perspective of the client following my comments and review of the draft that are, you provide a draft at the beginning of February, then I give you some comments, then you work on it, then you make your presentation, then you start understanding what you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to be critical, analytical, think within the music industry, that draws things from outside of the music industry, because it's very hard to revolutionize something by looking at what everybody's done and trying to replicate it. You're not replicating anything if you're doing, you're not creating anything if you're replicating everything that's been done. So we start getting the picture. So then late March, you come and present with your groups, 15, 20 minutes. What do you think should be your final presentation like a month after? But obviously, you know, it's not going to be as good. Obviously, it's going to be so incomplete, but it's still something that I want to see. I don't want to wait for the day before it is due to hear you present it. And at that time, you know, there's sometimes two groups that are already amazing. And I go, wow, you've done 80% of the project, you know what you're doing. And I just give pointers so that way they can fix up the 20% maybe is missing there. And there's some groups they've done 20% and they have 80% missing. And and I tell them what they need to do. And sometimes the students realize, yes, we need to do all of that, and they fix it up. And sometimes they react very hungry and like, oh, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do. And at the end, everybody understands, but it's the process. That's why you have to understand that they just tied up and they construct a much bigger view of what it takes to be a disruptor in the music industry or any other industries. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.